yet another very, very important conversation I have in studio with me, a resource person from the counseling center here in your University of Competitive Choice. And we are talking about temperament this morning, and we are going to look at a first half of the conversation, and we'll continue next week, Monday, because it's an important area and every bit must be dealt with. So join us, get on board 027514 49 49 027514 49 49 0595 7438 66. These are engagement platforms. You can get interactive with us. We'll have in studio with me this morning Dr. Eugene K. Nentri. Doc is a counselor with the counseling center here in your great university, and remember that we will give you the opportunity. You can send us questions and everything you want to know. You have a particular weakness, the solution is right here in studio. Good morning, Doc. Many thanks for joining us once again.
Good morning, Nana.
I must say that your shirt is beautiful.
I also like your outfit.
Oh, great.
And the Ghana coat of arms.
Thank you.
I think it will be a very expensive something.
It is not.
The coat of arms.
It is expensive, and we can place a price tag on it. It's priceless, but not in cash anyway. Right, so Doc, we're looking at temperament. I think our listeners are itching. First and foremost, we want to begin with some background to what human temperament in itself are, just to have an appreciation of it.
Okay, Nana, thank you very much, and good morning to your listeners. When we talk about the human temperament, we are talking about an aspect of personality theory. It's just an aspect. It's a subset. You know, when we were young, when you hear a word like the person has personality, it means the person is tall and handsome or good looking. But it goes beyond that. Personality is quite broad, what makes you you. And temperament is just an aspect of personality theory, and it was propounded, talking about temperament, by the father of medicine. He's from Greece. His name is Hippocrates. So we realize medical doctors, when they are passing out to become medical doctors properly, there's an oath, they call it Hippocratical oath. If you're not careful, you might think it's hypocritical. You're not hypocrite. It's the name of the man who brought this. And he was trying to use hormones or certain fluids in human beings. For example, he concluded that those who are sanguines, they have warm blood. Their blood is warm, and that's why they are so active, and they are excited, they are always on the run, they are always on the go. Then cholerics, he said that the bile in their liver is yellow. Then he described phlegmatics, that they have a lot of phlegms. Phlegmatic from the word phlegm. So at times they are very cool, quiet. There's a language in Akan, or your body, or your table, which one of them. But then they have also their strength, and their strength is powerful. Then he also described those with yellow bile in their liver as cholerics. So Hippocrates used these fluids and other colors of the liver and the kidney to conclude that if you are like this, then you are sanguine. But let me also make the point clear that no one is having only one temperament. You can even have all the four. But the one that dominates, maybe you are 60% sanguine. You are 10% this, you are 20% this, then you classify you as sanguine. Some can have only two. Some can have three. Nobody can even have only one. At least there will be another. So they overlap a little. But the one that is dominating your lifestyle, your everything, then we conclude that you are a choleric. And it's also not affected by the environment, which might be debatable. But the one who came out with it said it's a trait. It's like genes from your parents. It's something that is natural, and the environment that you live in might not have any influence over it. But
so the environment cannot alter it, or even make it worse.
Exactly. Unfortunately, the person is dead. He did that about 2,000 years ago. He did this. So now we cannot argue with him. But then I think the environment can have a little influence. But then this is what he propounded. Okay. If you talk about these four, these are the traditional ones. But in the 1980s, another one came up, which is not so popular. We call it the supine, supine. The supine is another temperament, and maybe I'll talk about it briefly. Let me start with the supine briefly. The supine is a temperament that is quite sophisticated and complicated. For example, I may be living with you. We live in the same house. We are co-tenants. And you expect me to understand you to the extent that even if you are hungry, maybe let's talk about married couples. The wife is expecting the husband to know that today, take me to a restaurant. We shouldn't cook. And
when it's not being said.
It's not being said. She expects you to read her mood, her body language, and if you're unable to do that, they take offense. But they will also let you know that they're offended, and it can create tension. So this is a slight thing about the supine. It's like at the theater, when you are lying on the bed, supine, you're lying flat, and you are in that's your area. So that's the new one, but it's not popular. Okay, so these four are the sanguine, the melancholy, the choleric, and the phlegmatics. These are the four traditional human temperaments that, if you believe in God, then as God created us, we were categorized into these traditional four. Lately, that is a fifth one. So these are the four human temperaments.
Right, people, you're still tuned into ATL FM 100.5, some 33 minutes after 8 here. We're having a conversation about temperament. I have in studio with me Dr. Eugene K. Nantwi. Doc is a counselor with the Counseling Center here in UCC, helping us break down this particular personality types or traits, if you want to call it. But you want to pick yours. If you want to be part of the conversation, you want to send us a message, you want to ask any question, you have any concern or something you're not too clear about, 027514 49 49 0595 7438 66. These are our platforms you can join the conversation on. And remember that we are going to be looking at about two of these temperaments. Next week, Monday, we'll continue with the rest and then look at some other aspects of the conversation. Doc, let's now look at the two in detail, one after the other, what they present with the specific traits and their strengths, their weaknesses, and all.
Thank you. So I will start with the sanguine. And the sanguine is a temperament that you say they are super extrovert. They are super extrovert because cholerics are also extroverts, but they are not as extrovert as the sanguine. They are good mixers. They can mix up with people easily. They make friends easily. They are very exciting people. When you're around them, hardly will you be sad. I mean, when they're in their natural self, there's nothing bothering their mind. They try to make the environment very lively. Their sense of humor is just wonderful. So these are all good things I'm talking about. But they also have their terrible weaknesses. So maybe if time will permit, I can mention, but I'll mix them up so that next week we can. So if you look at the sanguine temperament, you realize that they are outgoing, they are very optimistic in life. They don't give up easily, and they try to give hope to their friends, even when you are down. That this one, you fail these exams as if that's the end of the road. They will tell you, please try again. You can pass. So that's also positive. They are quite difficult when it comes to appointments. They don't meet their time. They are most of the time late for appointments and stuff like that, which is negative. They are impulsive, very impulsive. And there's a typical example of an American musician who lost the ex-wife, Bobby Brown. Bobby Brown was very impulsive, and I read something in Ebony. There was this magazine so many years ago, and the mother of Whitney was having issues with Whitney because he said the guy is too impulsive. He cannot be predictable. He can be excited today, the next, not even today, the next 30 minutes, you see him throwing his hands at you.
Some sort of mood swing?
Mood swings. In fact, mood swings. And I think Bobby once even said in an interview that he had bipolar. Most of the time, they tend to have bipolar. I mean, sanguines. Not all of them, actually. But they are egoistical. They have a lot of egos. At times, they feel they are more important than they even seem to be. And they try to live in the present. They don't think about the future so much, and which is negative. So it's like, let's eat and die. Let's eat today, for tomorrow we die. Tomorrow will come, they are still alive.
Allow tomorrow to take care of
Exactly.
itself.
So the animal metaphor that I use for the sanguine is the fox. The animal, the fox. It's like the motto is, I'm ready to go. I'm on the run. So they wake up, they will not plan their day. They'll just go out and see how the day will turn out to be.
Just like in the military, they tell you that every day is your last day.
Exactly.
In existence.
Yes, I think they tell them that, yeah. They tell them that. So they live in the present. They have some difficulty in concentration. Not always, but at times. But let me also establish the fact that the weaknesses can be worked on. You see, I'm missing them, but the weaknesses of every temperament can be worked on to the extent that you might be a phlegmatic, but people might think you are even a choleric because you are very conscious of your bad side. But you can work it up to 70% only.
What do you require to be able to work on these weaknesses?
Yes, I'll come to that.
All right.
I'll come to that. But let me mention one of the two things. They are quite restless. They are friendly. They are enjoyable. They enjoy life. They are talkative. They are weak-willed. They are undisciplined. Some are undisciplined. Most of them tend to be unfaithful to their partners. Not all of them. We have melancholics who do that. But on a larger scale, they are also easily discouraged. You see, we've mentioned the fact that they're optimistic. The other side is they are also easily discouraged. And they tend to enjoy praise. You see, when people say good things about them, they enjoy it, and they are susceptible to flattery because of the fact that they want people to praise them always. They want to appear flashy in their dressing. When they are coming out, going for a program, especially party, they want to look very flashy. But if you go back to the room where they dress, you might think there have been a volcanic eruption in the room. A tsunami has happened in the room. Everything is disorganized. But then if you see them outwardly, they look very nice. If you look at sanguines, you realize that their weaknesses can be quite terrible. For example, they find it difficult to keep secrets. So your friend might be confiding in you, knowing that you're a good friend, and even show some sort of concern when he was confiding in you. But unconsciously, they can reveal it not out of malice, but because of that nature, the trait. So they can even say to somebody, and after they say, hey, I've said it, please don't tell anybody. But if you are conscious, so let me come back to your question, that how can you work on the weaknesses? You can work on the weaknesses by external forces. External forces in this sense, and you yourself, just prompt your friends, those close to you, that I've seen this thing about me, that it is creating a lot of problems. At times, when I'm in an environment, as if I'm mandated to commence conversation, as if that's my job, the place shouldn't be quiet, I should say something. And the thing that I will say can go overboard. And it creates a lot of problems for me. So your friends can prompt you when you are with them, and you're about to say, you see, this thing that you've been telling me, this thing that you said is not good. Or maybe later on, when people are not around, the person can send you a message that today I observed this. If you do that consciously, I think with time you can be able to work on your bad side, because they are wonderful people. Sanguines are wonderful people. If your friend is a sanguine, you love the person, because when you are down, the friend can lift you up with just a comment, just a smile. They even enter a room with their mouth. They don't knock. If you're in the office and a sanguine is passing, the person will start talking. Hey, Nana, are you in the office? Are you there? But some temperament are not like that. They will come coolly, they will knock at the door. So they are quite exciting people, but their weaknesses, if they don't work on it, it tends to create a lot of problems for them.
Now let's look at the next one so that we can...
Yes, so I will talk about the melancholy. They are just the direct opposite of the sanguine. Yes, and as the name implies, melancholy is another word for sadness. And if you look at the animal metaphor I adapted for them is the ant. It's like things must be done by its way. Everything must be done according to how it is. They try to arrange things properly. One negative thing about them is that they worry a lot. Melancholics worry a lot. So statistics has proven that the number of suicide cases worldwide, globally, statistics prove that 80% are melancholics. It's because they don't make friends easily. They tend to be professional warriors of the world. As if you have a worry, you give it to me, I'll worry for you. And too much worrying is not even good for your health. They are very passive. So if you are pushing them to the wall, they don't like it. They may find it difficult to tell you, I don't like what you are doing to me. Sanguines are not like that. Sanguines are very assertive. Cholerics, they are rather aggressive. Assertive is the best. And assertive training is something that we can talk about next week briefly. Because for sanguine, they will let you know that I'm not happy with the way you are treating me, the way you talk to me, the way you embarrass me. Melancholics will not be able to say that to you. They will harbor it. It will turn into bitterness. It will affect them. They will see you and they will even be pretending to be smiling. But deep down bottom, they are not even happy to see you. Okay, let me talk about their good sides. I mean, the melancholics, because they have a lot of good sides. As I've said, they are introverts. They are idealistic. They try to be very idealistic. They are pessimistic, and that's why they commit suicide a lot. The least thing, they think they've come to the end of the world.
And they suffer depression.
They suffer depression a lot. That's a very good point. They suffer depression a lot. In fact, they tend to have a lot of mental disorders. Depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, borderline disorders, and a whole lot.
And the obsessive compulsive disorder is characteristic with, and you touched on that initially, but they want their things arranged in a specific
and this
way.
One of the,
and that's characteristic of these people.
OCD. They want everything to, if you take their phone and you put it this way, they come back and put it where it's supposed to be. So that's quite negative. They are moody. They are very moody. But they are very creative. In fact, a lot of the inventors of the world are melancholics, because at times when they are not worried and they are sitting down, they are thinking about how to better the world, how to make things. Most of the medical doctors in the olden days were melancholics. I mean, those who are able to do wonderful things in the medical profession. Deep thinking. I'm not saying if you're not a medical doctor, you're not a deep thinker. Please don't get me wrong. No, we all have our field. Yes, they harbor resentment a lot. I think I've said that earlier. When they are worried, they will not be able to say it. So people try to take advantage of them. They are suspicious of everybody, especially if they are married and their wife or the husband has changed the attitude a little. It might be that the person is going through his or her own challenges, personal challenges, but they suspect maybe that you've seen another person, that's why you're behaving like this. That's one of their issues. And they like to be behind the scenes always. They don't want to be in the forefront. They always want to be spectators, sort of. But then they'll be able to do the work you give them to do. Just they don't want to come into the limelight. And that is how they are. If you understand them...
And sometimes you would have students in class who, until you call them out,
they will not answer.
But they will come out and they give you the right
In fact,
answer.
I even tell my students, some will not talk, but when you ask them to talk, the contribution that we give, so I'll tell them, is it deliberate that you have a thing? I say in a very jovial way anyway. But that's how some people they are. And they tend to write very well. They will come out with good grades, but hardly you find them to talk. They are easily offended. They are self-sacrificing. So at times they can sacrifice for their friends at their own expense, which might not be too positive. If they are having maybe 10 CDs and a friend is looking for money, that might be the last 10 CDs they will give it to the person so that the person will be happy, which might not be so good. They are optimistic at times. They are pessimistic. They have some deep feeling, they are sensitive, and at times they are self-centered. So if you put all this together, you realize that if you are living with such a person and you don't have any knowledge in the temperament, you might think the person is wicked, you might think the person is unfriendly and is deliberate, you might think the person is somebody who's not adding anything to your life. But when you are aware that that's how the person's trait is, that is when you start to make room for people. So one important thing about the temperament is it will help you to understand why somebody is behaving the way he or she is behaving. I mean, why someone is acting the way the person is acting, so that you don't make comparative analysis that this, my friend's husband, is doing this for the wife. There are some husbands who prefer to take their wives on a date, even when you are traveling outside Ghana. Others are not like that. It doesn't even click. It's not part of them. So if you try to compare, maybe you have to suggest to them, because maybe they can afford it, but they don't see the need. But if you suggest to them, they'll be able to take it. I think it will also help you as a student at the university if you know the temperament of your roommates.
So because of our time, we'll use that as maybe the final one, so I get your final statement, then we can continue next.
Oh, time is almost up.
Yes.
Wow. Yes. So if you understand human temperament, you know how to live with people. You know how to make rooms for people. You try to make a case. You will not conclude without hypothesis, sort of. Your roommate is, maybe you have 4 roommates, and you'll be criticizing the other one, that he's like this, he's like. But if you understand that, the person is like this because of the person's temperament. The dominant temperament of that person is that of a choleric, which makes them quite bossy. The dominant temperament of that person is that of a sanguine, and that's why the person is so loud and talkative. If you understand temperament, you also know how to stay with your spouse or your fiancé, especially if you've gone through different relationships. Perhaps you're in your 3rd relationship and you're yet to marry. You understand that this person was like this because of this and this and that, and it will boil down because of the person's temperament. And this person that I'm with is like this, not because he's wicked or he's a bad person, but I need to help the person. I have to draw the person's attention to certain things that the person is doing. At your workplace, if you understand the temperament of colleagues, you will not treat all of them the same way. A certain compliment that you make to maybe PDF, you don't make the same compliment to Danny Blue, because maybe PDF may take offense, but Danny Blue will even laugh over it, because you understand how to handle people according to a sort of their abilities. So it's very important for us to live together in peace. But before we can live together in peace, we should understand the temperament of certain people. For example, there are some people, they think fighting authority makes them popular.
Finally on that.
Yes, they tend to fight authority unnecessarily. When there's no issue, they raise an issue, and they want to be popular, and they tend to be rude. They tend to make cases when there is no case, when there is relatively peace around, they will try to create chaos. And even when they're on a WhatsApp platform, any issue they will put up is controversial, and they want people to side with them. If you don't side with them, they see you as an enemy, and they can insult you, it can be rude to you. It's a weakness, and such people, they should just be careful and just work on their weaknesses, and they will be good people to be around.
Doc, thank you. We'll continue, God willing, next week, Monday, and we'll look at the other temperament in detail. Then we would conclude better,
Exactly.
so we can educate our public, because we need it. From all that you've said this morning, we have to have an appreciation of who we are living with, whom we are dealing with, and the kind of temperament they exhume. Thank you, and have a beautiful day.
So now, where do you belong? The 2, or is the other 2 that you may belong?
Still processing, but it's a good one. I'm sure it's some form of education. And thank you for the book as well. Dr. Eugene Kwatendemchi has written a book, and
in fact, temperament is just one of the topics.
It's just one of the topics in there, and I'm sure next week we will maybe look at and maybe where people can get it to buy and all that. So this is ATL FM 100.5. You just heard the voice of Dr. Eugene Kwatendemchi. He's a counselor.